chosen one. Something just happened, and you need to hear this carefully. Someone has just realized who you truly are. Not the version they created in their mind, not the one they underestimated, not the one they thought they could easily walk away from. They are now seeing you clearly, and that realization has unsettled something deep inside them. It didn't happen loudly. It wasn't a dramatic moment. It came quietly, unexpectedly, like a sudden awareness they could not ignore. And now they can't unsee it. For a long time, they misunderstood you. They thought they had you figured out. They believed they knew your limits, your worth, your place in their life. But something shifted. Something about your energy, your silence, your growth, or even your absence has forced them to look again. And this time, they are seeing something different. Something they did not expect. Something that no longer fits the version of you they once believed in. Right now, whether they admit it or not, they are thinking about you in a way they never did before. There is a sense of discomfort, a quiet realization that they may have overlooked something important. And that feeling is not leaving them. It lingers in their thoughts, in moments when they are alone, in ways they cannot fully explain. This is the moment where perception changes, where truth begins to replace assumption. You may not see it yet. You may not hear anything from them. But something has already shifted in how they see you. And once that kind of realization happens, it cannot be reversed. Stay with me, because what they have just realized is only the beginning. And what comes next will explain why this sudden awareness is now creating a feeling they cannot escape. My child, what you must understand is that this realization did not come from nowhere. It came from everything you have been, everything you have carried, and everything you chose not to reveal. For a long time, you were misunderstood. People saw only the surface of who you are, never the depth. They saw your silence and assumed you had nothing to say. They saw your patience and believed you had no limits. They saw your kindness and mistook it for weakness. And the person who is now thinking about you, the one who has just realized something, was no different. They looked at you through a narrow lens, one shaped by their own assumptions, their own comfort, and their own inability to truly see beyond what was easy. There were moments when you felt it, that sense of being overlooked, of not being fully recognized for who you are. You may have tried to express yourself, but it felt like your words did not land the way you intended. Or maybe you chose not to say anything at all, because you understood that some people only hear what they are ready to hear. You carried yourself with a quiet strength, but that quietness became something others misread. They thought your calm nature meant you would always remain the same. They thought your consistency meant you would always be available. They never considered that beneath that calm surface was growth, awareness, and a depth they had not taken the time to understand. You gave more than they realized. Your presence, your energy, your understanding, these were not things you offered lightly. But because you did not demand recognition, because you did not constantly prove your worth, they assumed it was always there, always accessible, always something they could return to whenever they wanted. They underestimated the value of what you brought into their life. They did not recognize that your silence was not emptiness, but control. That your patience was not weakness, but strength. That your distance, when it began to form, was not random, but intentional. There were times when you may have questioned yourself because of this. You wondered if you were being seen the right way, if you were being appreciated for who you truly are, or if you were simply being accepted for a version of you that was easier for others to understand. That kind of misunderstanding can be heavy. It can make you feel like you are standing in a space where your true self is not fully recognized. But even in those moments, you did not lose yourself. You did not change who you are just to fit into someone else's perception. You remained grounded in your nature even when it was not fully understood. What they failed to see was that you were not static. You were evolving. While they remained comfortable in their assumptions, you were growing beyond them. You were becoming more aware, more selective, more aligned with who you are meant to be. And that kind of growth does not always announce itself. It happens quietly. It happens in your decisions, in your boundaries, in the way you begin to carry yourself differently. And because it is quiet, it often goes unnoticed until it can no longer be ignored. That is where this moment comes from. They are now seeing the difference. They are now realizing that the person they thought they understood is not the same as the person standing before them now. And that realization is not easy for them to accept because it challenges everything they believed about you. It forces them to confront the fact that they did not see you clearly before. And that is a truth that can feel uncomfortable, especially when it comes too late. My child, what they have just realized is not something small, and it is not something they can easily ignore or push away. The truth that has come to them has changed the way they see you completely. They are beginning to understand that you are not who they thought you were. You are not someone they could overlook, not someone they could treat casually, not someone who would remain the same no matter how they showed up. They are now seeing your value, your depth, and your strength in a way that feels unfamiliar to them. And that realization is creating a shift inside them that they were not prepared for. They are starting to recognize that you were never ordinary. The way you handled situations, the way you carried yourself, the way you chose silence over reaction, these things are now making sense to them in a new way. What they once dismissed or misunderstood is now appearing as something meaningful, something rare. They are beginning to connect moments they overlooked, conversations they did not take seriously, and actions they did not fully appreciate. And as they put those pieces together, a different image of you is forming in their mind. One that feels more real than anything they believed before. But with that realization comes something else: regret. Not always loud or obvious, but present. A quiet awareness that they may have misjudged you, that they may have taken your presence for granted, that they may have let something valuable slip away without truly understanding what it was. And that kind of awareness is not easy to sit with. It creates a tension within them, a feeling that something important has changed and cannot simply be returned to the way it was. They are also realizing something deeper, something that unsettles them even more. They are beginning to see that you are no longer available in the same way. The version of you they once knew, the one they thought would always be there, is no longer standing in the same place. You have shifted. You have grown. You have started to move beyond the space where they left you. And that creates a sense of loss that they cannot fully control. Because now, even if they wanted to reach for you in the same way, they can feel that something is different. This is where the fear begins to enter. Not always openly, not always something they will admit, but it is there. The fear of losing access to someone they now realize was important. The fear that they may not be able to reconnect with you the way they once could. The fear that they misjudged something that cannot be replaced. And this fear is not based on imagination. It is based on the shift they can feel, even if they cannot explain it clearly. You may not hear them say any of this. They may continue to act the same on the surface. They may hide what they are feeling or try to convince themselves that nothing has changed. But internally, something has already moved. Their perception of you is no longer the same. And that change is creating a response within them that they cannot easily control. Type 111 if you feel that something has shifted, even if you have not seen the proof yet. Because what they have just realized is not temporary. It is a deeper understanding that came too late for them to ignore, and too late for things to simply return to the way they were before. My child, the reason they are feeling this fear is not just because they finally see your value, but because they can also feel the shift in your energy. You are no longer the same person they once had access to. There is a distance now, not just physically, but spiritually and emotionally. And that distance is something they cannot control. Before, they felt comfortable. They believed they understood you, that they knew how you would respond, how you would remain. But now, that certainty is gone. And when certainty disappears, it creates a sense of instability that they are not used to handling. They are beginning to realize that they no longer have the same influence over you. The version of you that once tolerated certain behaviors, that once remained available despite being misunderstood, is no longer present in the same way. You have changed, not in a loud or obvious way, but in a deeper, more powerful way. Your boundaries are stronger. Your awareness is clearer, and your energy is no longer being given freely where it is not valued. And that change is something they can feel, even if you have not said anything directly. What unsettles them the most is the loss of control. They can no longer predict you the way they once did. They cannot assume that you will always be there, that you will always respond the same, or that you will remain in the same position in their life. This unpredictability creates a discomfort that they are not familiar with. It forces them to face the reality that you are no longer within reach in the way you once were. And that realization carries weight. There is also a deeper layer to this fear. It is the awareness that you are moving forward without them. They can sense that your life is shifting, that your focus is changing, and that your energy is no longer tied to the past in the same way. Even if they cannot see the full picture, they can feel that you are no longer waiting. You are no longer holding on to something that has already changed. And that creates a sense of being left behind, a feeling that they are no longer part of the direction you are moving in. At the same time, they are confronted with their own actions. The way they treated you, the way they perceived you, the way they handled the connection, all of it is now being seen from a different perspective. And that can create a quiet pressure within them. Because when someone realizes that they misunderstood something important, it forces them to face a truth they may have avoided before. And that truth is not always comfortable. This fear is not something you need to respond to. It is not something you need to fix or even acknowledge. It is simply the result of a shift that has already taken place. While they are processing this realization, you are being guided in a different direction. You are not meant to return to what once was. You are meant to continue forward, carrying the growth that brought you to this point. Understand this clearly. Their fear is not about you doing something to them. It is about them realizing who you are and understanding that they no longer stand in the same position in your life. That realization changes everything for them, even if nothing has been said. And while they sit with that discomfort, you are stepping into a space where your value no longer needs to be explained, proven, or questioned. My beloved child, as all of this unfolds, I want you to understand that this moment is not about them. It is about you and the person you have become. Their realization, their fear, their discomfort, all of it is simply a reflection of the growth that has taken place within you. You did not change to create this reaction. You changed because your path required it. You evolved because your spirit could no longer remain in the same place. And now, that evolution is being seen even by those who once failed to recognize it. You are stepping into a version of yourself that no longer seeks validation from those who misunderstood you. You are no longer trying to prove your worth, explain your intentions, or make others see what they were not ready to see before. That phase of your life is behind you now. What you carry within you has become steady, grounded, and real. And because of that, you are no longer affected in the same way by how others perceive you. Their realization may have come late, but your growth did not wait for it. There is a quiet confidence forming within you, one that does not need to be announced or displayed. It is felt in the way you carry yourself, in the way you respond to situations, and in the way you no longer give your energy where it is not returned. This confidence is not built on ego, but on understanding. You have seen what it feels like to be overlooked, to be underestimated, to be misunderstood, and instead of letting that break you, you allowed it to shape you. That is why what you carry now is different. It is stronger. It is clearer. And it is no longer something that can be ignored. As you continue forward, you will begin to notice that your life reflects this shift. The people who enter your space will be different. The connections will feel more balanced, more genuine, more aligned with who you truly are. You will no longer feel the need to question where you stand with others, because what is meant for you will not create confusion. It will bring clarity. It will bring peace. And it will allow you to be yourself without hesitation. There will also be moments when you look back, not with regret, but with understanding. you will see how everything that happened played a role in bringing you to this point. The misunderstandings, the distance, the way you were once seen, all of it was part of a process that helped you discover your own value. And once that value is understood within, it no longer depends on whether others recognize it or not. Type Amen if you are ready to fully step into who you have become. Type 777 if you trust that your growth is guiding you exactly where you need to be. Because what they are feeling right now is not your responsibility. It is the result of their own realization. And what lies ahead for you is not tied to their understanding, their timing, or their fear. It is connected to your alignment, your growth, and the path that is now opening before you. Remember this, my child, they are not afraid of losing you. They are afraid because they finally see you. And now that they do, they understand something they cannot change. You have become someone they can no longer control, no longer define, and no longer hold back. And that is exactly who you were always meant to be.